The summer movie season, it's not what it used to be, but Hollywood would like to have it make a comeback. And that's what we're going to be talking about on the June episode of Hot Media with Bob Mann. We're going to be looking at the summer movie season, both art films and blockbusters all at the same time. My guest, as usual, one of my regular guests here on the program is Ryan Rolandelli to talk about film. He is a finishing editor at a New York City post-production house and certainly a film expert and someone who beats me on a regular basis in my son's movie quiz on the internet every Wednesday night. So, although neither of us did that on the Batman game, Ryan, thank you very much for taking the time to be on the show.
No problem. Thank you for having me, as always.
Okay, so we've talked, Ryan, in the past about in the Christmas show, for example, about wow, our movie theater's dead. Is the movie experience gone? And I have to say that in the old days, I used to get really excited about the idea. Here it is. It's May. We're going to go to the multiplex. We're going to see, there's a new Batman. There's new this. There's new that. There's new Oscar bait out there. Now it's like, it just seems like any other season because I can watch half of this on streaming, if not more. So what is your take? Let's continue the conversation from Christmas and apply it to the summer in terms of streaming services and what we call television, for lack of a better word, really taking all of cinema in the modern post-COVID era.
Sure. I think that this summer, in particular, the studios are really hoping that we get our butts back in the theaters. There's a lot of big movies coming out, and I think a lot more coming out even in IMAX ever since Oppenheimer. So they are really trying to get us back. But it's the end of May now. So even just to kick it off, the movie Fall Guy came out maybe 3 weeks, a month ago from this recording, and it's already on streaming and has been for a week. So off to not such a great start. Ira one will be going back for a few of ones that are coming out. Definitely going to wait for streaming on some of the other ones, but you know me, I'm trying to go back. I can't wait to go back, and I hope we do.
Yeah, and are there some movies coming out in the summer of 24 that you just feel, wow, this is a cinematic experience? I'm not going to sit home, even if I have an 85-inch television. I'm not going to sit at home.
Cinematic experience, yeah. I'd hate to bring it back to Marvel, but I think Deadpool and Wolverine is probably up there number one, like looking forward to this summer. Disney finally gave Ron Reynolds the okay to give him the R rating and do whatever he wants. He was made to wear that suit. The first two were great. I think this one's going to be good. And just going to be good to see Hugh Jackman back on the big screen having fun. That's probably number one for me this summer.
Let's talk a little bit about the difference between those who follow, and I know there are some like you who follow both the blockbusters and the so-called comic book movies as well as the art house films. But the Cannes Festival just ended recently, and Anora was the winner. I know that that's not going to knock off the Mad Max movie at the multiplex this summer, but something like the Palme d'Or, what does that mean to movie lovers, and what does it say about this particular film that it would win?
Yeah, I think you said it before. It's the start of maybe some of the Oscar movies coming into theaters. And yeah, they won't fill the seats as much. But for fans like us, this is, the kickoff of something else. The Cannes Film Festival is, I'm always looking forward to see who wins the Palme d'Or, who wins all the acting awards. It's about time that Sean Baker got some recognition. And their distributor Neon has won the Palme d'Or 5 years in a row, which is pretty amazing. All the way back to Parasite, which did very well. So I don't know. I haven't seen Anora yet. Obviously, I don't know when it will be coming out. I will be seeing it. But the Cannes Film Festival is always good to kick off those movies. One I am looking forward to. It did pretty well at Cannes. Yorgos Lanthimos' Kinds of Kindness won some acting awards out there. He obviously just made Poor Things last year, so he's just a machine right now.
When you talk about the Marvel universe, so you already spoke about Deadpool. There was a line on Saturday Night Live. Colin Jost, of course, married to Scarlett Johansson. And in Weekend Update, he says, well, this was the first summer movie season that wasn't kicked off in May by a Marvel movie. And there are of us who depend financially on Marvel movies in the summer season to pay for the ferries that they bought. So it is, but it is odd that it isn't Marvel leading off. I guess they can't do it
It's
every
true.
single year.
No,
But
and I think it's for the best that they're not, a little less Marvel. And I think they've been getting back on track a little bit, like big story wise. I think this movie is going to fix a lot of things that they've messed up the past couple of years. But yeah, maybe slowing down is for the better for all of us.
what I've been reading a lot about, Ryan, in preparation for conversation, is Hitman. And now this is the June episode, so some people are going to be hearing it when it's hearing the podcast after this is already on Netflix. June 7th is the premiere date. But this is the story of a college professor. And I know from being one that professors do have very flexible schedules and some time to do a lot of other things. But he apparently is an undercover detective for his local PD and then poses as a hitman, falls in love with a woman who has hired him to do a hit. And I wonder, why is this premiering on Netflix? Because this is something that's getting so much buzz. Is it getting so much buzz because almost everybody can get it automatically by being on Netflix? Is it something that you think might be that good? Why would something that's getting this much press and this much buzz be right out of the gate on Netflix?
I think there's still people out there that like Richard Linklater. I think he's still definitely a household name. Um, and the star Glenn Powell is on fire right now. He's had past like what 2 good years ever since Top Gun. So I think those two names alone will get people on their couch, not in the seats, as you're saying. Well, Netflix just signs those big inflated deals with all these directors, so they are going to advertise as much as possible to get new subscriptions, keep subscribers. David Fincher, Ron Johnson, all these guys have such inflated contracts that yeah, they're going to make sure we watch it.
We want to talk about content and give people an idea of what they might see at home or if they do venture out again to the multiplex. But we also very often on this podcast series talk about the media industry as a business. And I still don't get it. Movies cost over $100 million to make if they're big movies, and probably more, over $100 million.
Yeah.
But the economic model of going on streaming right away or 1 month after, as you mentioned, Fall Guy, just just a month out of the theaters or in the theaters. And I always thought that you needed worldwide box office, that you needed to win the weekend, that you needed to keep it moving around the theaters until you then got into cable and syndication to make back that 100, $200 million. Netflix can't be paying $300 million for each single movie, no matter what the economic model is. How is this impacting the movie business, just specifically the movie business as a business?
I think there is still a divide on that exact topic. Is a movie more successful the more money it makes? And a lot of people are going to tell you yes, obviously, but also if they could track actually how many people watch and stream these movies in collection with, like you said, Fall Guy that was in theaters, if they could put those numbers together, they would really have an idea of how many people have watched the movie and responded to it positively for them to just go make like a sequel and make something bigger. There is still this divide. Everyone wants to make money. Everyone wants to make these movies, have these movies make money. But it's really coming down to how many people actually watch them. The hours streamed is such an inflated number right now that people are starting to pay attention more. Not so much money, but the amount of time people have spent watching it.
When you look at that, though, you really need to almost do a pay-per-view, the way that Amazon tends to do it,
Yeah.
is that you're paying for this movie. You pay for the streaming service, but now you pay for the movie. But a lot of these movies are just, hey, you have this account, Netflix, Disney Plus, whatever. Here's a movie for you that may have cost tens of millions of dollars, if not more, to make. I still don't see exactly how they're going to make it back, although I have no doubt that Hollywood executives and the mega media company executives who own Hollywood and the studios are doing something in which they're not going to make money. That would be foolish. It is a business.
Yep.
Let's talk about some of the other things you had wanted to discuss as far as the summer movie season and that sequels. What can we be looking for there?
It's two on my list that I'm looking forward to, sequels. Inside Out 2. I also think, well, it's still Disney, like Marvel, but I think Pixar needs to get back on track a little bit. I would say since Inside Out, the first one in 2015, I would say their only great film from that stretch until now would be Coco, maybe Toy Story 4. But I think they're going back to the well here. They're doing another sequel from one of their greatest, really, the first one is. So I think hopefully that does well. The Pixar hasn't won an Oscar in a few years, so I think they need to get back on track. And speaking of Glenn Powell, another sequel, Twisters. I don't know if we need it, but I'm going to be there. I think that looks great, and the recasting some of my favorite actors that were in the original, but something about it, just I'm ready for the summer movies. I'm ready to see stuff flow up. Yeah.
Yep, blow them up real good. Well, you're too young to remember, but I'm certain you know that reference from Second City.
Yes.
But of the Foreign Film Report. But are there some sequels where we loved it, but we've seen enough? Despicable Me 4 comes to mind. Are there some where
Yes.
it's like, come on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But hey, it's the money machine. They win the weekends, as I'm sure they do. I mean, there's no end to the merchandising. Oh yeah. Ask your son. I'm sure they're watching some Minions in the house. It's the way it goes. You got to keep making them.
Oh yeah, well, my son and grandson and I went down to Universal for 5 days during the break between semesters, and Minions were everywhere. As a matter of fact, we didn't want to wait on a line for something else we really wanted to see. We went into just a giant world of Minions.
Yep.
Still actually dreaming about it, and should be talking to a therapist as a result of that. So so summer tends to be very special. But when I was doing the research and looking at some of the articles, I see some movies that are hanging around. They aren't really summer movies. And I'm giving Civil War as an example there. And then they're talking about a Joker sequel. And I'm saying, oh, that seems pretty exciting, but that's not until October. So we got some of these movies that are hanging around, or there's anticipation. Did you get a chance to see Civil War yet?
I did, yes. Not the exact popcorn movie to unofficially start the summer off, but I liked it. Alex Garland is good. He's really good at what he does. It was good. I mean, yeah, bleak. I'm not going to throw it out at home, every other weekend for a few laughs. But I'm glad I saw it in theaters. It looks really good. Yeah, maybe my top 10 by the end of the year. But hey, man, we're not even halfway there yet.
Yeah, no. And I, talk about award season, and I get very excited, and I still get SAG screeners. One good thing about SAG screeners now, by the way, you had mentioned to me in the show, and you said, do you still get physical media? Well, you have to beg for it, and you almost have to say to SAG, I'm old and I don't know how to operate, but it's all digital now, and it's all, you put it on Apple AirPlay and you watch it that way, and that's the way it is. Although that way, nobody can bother you for your screeners and say that you're being stingy because of the fact that you won't get thrown out of the union and all for the screeners. What do you think is in this Joker sequel? Has there been enough out there about this yet?
Then you're talking to the wrong guy. No, give me Joker 2. I really liked the first one. I really liked what Todd Phillips did. Joaquin won an Oscar. They're gonna get Lady Gaga back out there in front of the camera. No, it's gonna be good. I think it was almost always gonna happen. The first one had really good success commercially and from the fans. But yeah, not your summer movie. That's gonna come out more so with the Oscar push. Deadpool and Wolverine this summer, Joker in the fall.
Well, you and I are certainly not in the same generation. My student in college, but there's a generation now coming up behind you. Do they know some movie season thrill? Is this something that may just be something of the past to them? Is this something that we boomers or you millennials will hold on to, and that Gen Z will be like, summer movies, movies are movies?
It's true. Actually, I never thought of it that way. Yeah, if young people can just be taking in so much content year round, around the clock. What is the difference? I still think, especially if you're a movie fan, any sort of media fan as we are, like the nostalgia, the magic of like summer movies, I think lives on. I think enough people or parents are talking about it and stuff where that's pretty good. I never thought of it that way. Maybe not like the Christmas movie push anymore, but the summer movies, yeah. Yeah. I mean, just the time of the year, and that phrase, it's iconic now, I think. Hopefully the magic of the movie still lives on.
At least until they make them go to school 12 months a year. That it will still be the summer movie excitement. And they don't chase them out of the mall at 6 p.m. too, which is something happening in North Jersey. Just one last thing about the summer movie experience. Have you and your wife gone to a drive-in? It's one in Warwick, New York. The only one still left, I believe. No, there's one new in Brooklyn, but the real old-fashioned style one in Warwick. Have you ever been there?
We have not. Definitely, like, on our list. It's been on our list for years. Just never made it up there. You know what it is? It just seems like is it? I don't know. Is it really that cool? It's a hike to go up there from where we are.
It is.
And, the whole night.
It is.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be responsible for you, going off the road into a tree because it's very dark. Very
dark.
Time
we saw Ryan.
Yeah, and you can't go to an afternoon matinee at a drive-in. You know what I mean? You got to be driving home in the dark. But there is just something about that feel, and you turn on to an FM frequency, or you just bring a Bluetooth device or whatever. You don't have to hook the thing onto your car.
Like, I assumed it was a little better than like Greece, but yeah, I have never been.
But the kids are playing beforehand. Before they're waiting for the sun to go down. It's like at the height of June, the sun's not until about 9-10, and but they
just to close the curtains here.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to bring any beer. I think I've seen a few cans come out of some of those trunks.
But Bob, you're not selling it, but
I know. Well, I know, but just a one time, Ryan. That's it. Just one time.
You're right.
Well, listen. Thank you always for coming on here a couple of times a year to talk about the movies. Usually Christmas, Oscars, and summertime. And I look forward to having you back on the show. And maybe more than once, because I only happened once, defeating you and the movie quiz.
I have no doubt I'll be back, and I have no doubt that you will very soon.
All right. Please just hang on after I stop recording, because I just want to talk to you briefly. And that's it for this episode of Hot Media with Bob Mann. My guest, Ryan Rolandelli, talking about the summer movies right here on Hot Media.